Yes, see this banking company account. So banking company account, there is a format or the form in which you have to prepare the balance sheet. So this is the form A as per Banking Regulation Act of 1949. So this is a balance sheet format. And one more thing here, very important, is schedules. So schedules is nothing but and you can say it is one kind of criteria. So under that criteria, what and all item comes and what and all items are excluded, that we have to understand. So in this chapter, there are 16 schedules, we can say 16 schedules are there. It is almost similar to final company accounts. Final company accounts, there are 30 schedules, but here 16 schedules. So 12 schedules belong to the balance sheet and remaining 4 schedule belongs to profit and loss account. So now one by one we have to see the format. So if you see the format here, form A, first part given in the format, that is regarding capital and liability. See this, that means liability side is given first because this is a vertical form of balance sheet. So there are 4 columns. First capital and liability, and second column is for schedule number. Schedule number is also very important. Schedule number you have to write in front of the specific schedule. Then as on 31/3 of current year and as on 31/3 of previous year. So here they have given you 2 column. One is for the present year and one is for the previous year. Why they have mentioned this? What is the reason? Just to compare what was the amount for one item. Let us say capital. What was the amount in the year 2019 and what was the amount in the year 2020? So we can compare with the help of current year information and previous year information. But if you see the problems, whatever given in our syllabus, so you have to compute for only 1 year. There is no comparison statements are involved in this banking company account, you can say. So you know, now in the vertical form of balance sheet, first we have to consider all capital and liability. So now we'll see, now one by one we have to discuss this one. See this, first thing you have to consider capital. See this, capital schedule number 1. So same schedule number you have to write, capital that schedule number is 1. Then reserves and surplus, schedule number 2. I will discuss this again. See this, reserves and surplus, schedule number 2. First we will go it in brief about all the information. So now after reserves and surplus, then third one comes, that is deposit. So whenever we are preparing the balance sheet, so this balance sheet is of bank, that we have to understand. So we have to think from the banking point of view. So what is the income for the bank and what are the expenses for the bank, that we have to understand. So all the expenses you have to identify and all the incomes you have to identify from the point of view of the bank. So deposits, here deposit from any other bank, any demand draft. So all these things you can consider here. Deposit is schedule number 3. Then borrowings. Borrowings again liability. Borrowings from the banks. Means suppose there is one bank, XYZ banks, they have borrowed the money from ABC bank. So now that you have to write here. Borrowings, schedule number 4. Then other liabilities and provision. So all those items which do not belong to these 4 category, capital, reserves and surplus, deposits and borrowing, you can enter here other liabilities and provision, that is schedule number 5. So and here you can write the information or amount, you can write as on 31/3 of the current year and previous year if it is given, that you can write the information. So total you have to do, that is nothing but how you are going to do the total of liabilities and asset when there is a horizontal form of balance sheet. Liability side is there, liability side total you are going to do, then asset side is there, asset side total we used to do. But here vertical form is given, so that is why first you need to calculate the total of these 5 schedule, 1 to 5 schedule you need to get. So that total you can write here. Here also you can write the total. Then next part comes is asset. All assets of the bank we have to consider. So if you see here, cash and balance with RBI, Reserve Bank of India, that is schedule number 6. Then balance with the bank and money at call and short notice, that is schedule number 7. Then investment comes, investments of the bank in any kinds of bond, shares, etc. That is schedule number 8. Then advances, that is schedule number 9. Then comes fixed asset, that is schedule number 10. Then lastly other asset, that is schedule number 11. So now we know in the liability side or under liability there are 5 schedule, and under asset there are 6 schedule. 5 plus 6, that is total 11 schedules are there. And after getting the total of asset, now we got the total of liability, then you have to calculate the total of asset. That should be equal, liability and asset equal. Then after that one more schedule you can consider, that is contingent liability. See this contingent liability schedule number 12, that is below the asset side total. That is very important, below the asset side total. Then bills for collection is there, right? So that is nothing but footnote to the balance sheet. So for that there is no schedule number, it is dash. Bills for collection, that is dash, there is no schedule number, and you can write the amount just below the balance sheet as a footnote. So this is how the company's balance sheet format looks like. That too, especially banking companies balance sheet format looks like. So that is also known as Form A under Banking Company Regulation 1949. Then we have to see Form B. Now Form B regarding profit and loss account. See this, I have already told you in the balance sheet there are 12 schedules, and in P&L account there are 4 schedules. Total 16 schedules are there. Now income, see this, under profit and loss account again 4 column, particular, schedule number, year ended, that to current year and previous year. So now in P&L account there are 4 parts. So 4 parts are there. First is income, second is expenditure, then information regarding profit and loss, then any transfer information. So there are 4 parts are there. So first part is income in profit and loss account. First one, interest earned. Interest earned by the bank. That is very important. How bank can earn the interest? How bank can earn the interest? Can anyone tell me? Just tell me. This is very simple. How bank will earn the interest? Can anyone tell me here? How bank can earn interest here? Can you give the example? Bank earning the interest. Can you comment in the chat box? How bank can earn interest? See, suppose one person takes the money from the bank. That means suppose any loan is taken from the bank, customer has to pay the money to the bank. That means whatever the amount he has taken, that is known as principal amount. Along with that, he needs to pay the interest as well. Suppose if you have taken 10 lakh rupees loan, initial 4 to 5 year, let us say the loan duration is 10 year. We all know that initial 4 to 5 year, we are paying almost 90% of the interest. That we have to understand first. Then after that, as the year progresses, we pay a larger portion of the principal amount. So that is why under EMI, that is equal monthly installment, whatever we pay every month. If you have taken any loan, suppose let us say EMI for 10 lakh is 10,000 rupees. So initial 2 to 3 year, we'll assume that you are paying out of that 10,000 rupees, 7,500 as interest amount. Only 2,500 you are paying towards the principal amount. So that is how bank earns interest. So it is an income to the bank. So that you have to write here, interest earned, schedule number 13. Then other income, if any, that you can consider. Suppose any commission earned by the bank, any brokerage earned by the bank, that you can consider here, schedule number 14. Then you have to make the total. That is nothing but income total we want. Income total, how to get? Interest earned plus other income. Interest earned plus other income, you will get income total. Then we want to see what are the expenditures for the bank. So now first thing here, interest expended. Interest expended means what? Interest given by the bank. In the first case, interest collected by the bank. Now second case is what? Interest given by the bank. So when and all bank gives the interest, that we have to figure it out. Suppose if you have taken the if you have opened the account in the bank, for example, now saving bank account you have opened. So now for that saving bank account, every year bank pays 4% interest at the maximum. Now rate of interest is there 3.5 or 4% interest bank pays, isn't it? So that 4% interest is there, right? So that is an expense to the bank. So that is an expense to the bank because bank is giving you extra money. So that is why you have to write any interest paid by the bank towards SB account, saving banks account, towards a fixed deposit account, towards RD account, recurring deposit account. All these you have to enter here. That is nothing but interest expended or interest spended by the bank. Next comes operating expenses. Operating expenses, we know all day-to-day activities or all day-to-day expenses incurred during the operations of the bank, that is known as operating expenses, that we have to discuss. Then provisions and contingency. So operating expenses, we know schedule number 16, interest expended schedule number 15. Then provisions and contingency, any type of provision. Suppose provision for taxation is there. So, we know that every year company needs to pay the tax. So there is a provision, separate provision is maintained. So such provision you can write here, provisions and contingency. Then provisions for bad debts. Suppose any of the customer fail to pay the amount whatever they have taken, then we have to keep a certain amount aside as a provision for bad debt. Such a provision also we can enter here, that is under provisions and contingency. Then we want expenditure total. Now this is very important because now income total we got 13 plus 14, you will get income total. Expenditure total 15 plus 16 plus provisions and contingency, you will get expenditure total. Now next thing, under P&L account, third part is profit and loss. Profit and loss is very simple. That is nothing but income minus expenditure. Income minus expenditure, if you do, you will get profit and loss. So how to get income minus expenditure? We have already calculated the income 13 plus 14. So you got one income total. So from that you have to deduct the expenditure total. That is 15 plus 16 total you have to deduct. So you will get net profit or net loss for the current year or whatever the year for which you are going to prepare the profit and loss account. You will get one answer. Then you have to see any previous year profit and loss account given in the trail balance. Usually what happens, they will give you trail balance information. All items they will give you, lengthy trail balance they will give you, and we have to identify which item goes where. And especially we have to remember this rule also. Whatever the information given in the trail balance appears only once, and whatever the information given in the adjustment appears twice. So that we have to remember. So now profit and loss account brought forward, usually given in the trail balance, that amount you can write. Then you have to add these two information, net profit plus profit and loss brought forward, you will get total. So total you will get. So now we got three total, income total we got, expenditure total we got, then profit and loss total we got. Now fourth part of profit and loss account, that is appropriation. So appropriation in the sense, now there are transfer to statutory reserve. Statutory reserve means there is certain requirement there for banks. Out of the profit they have to keep certain amounts towards the statutory reserve. So in our syllabus and as per the Banking Companies Regulation Act of 1949, that is 20%. Statutory reserve percentage is 20%. Suppose if you got any profit, from that you have to keep 20% towards statutory reserve. That is very important. Then transfer to other reserve. Other reserve usually they won't give you in the problem, and it is not mentioned in all the problem I have seen, and that other reserves informations are not there. If there is any other special reserves are created, then you have to give the transfer to that special reserve, and that amount you can write under other reserve. Then transfer to government or proposed dividend. So proposed dividend, sometimes they will in the adjustment, proposed dividend information. So now how to get the proposed dividend calculation or amount, how to get it? First you want to see the paid up capital, or you want to see the share capital. Share capital you have to see, then you have to calculate the percentage on that. Suppose proposed dividend percentage, they can give you 10% or 15%. So you can take that on that share capital or paid up capital. You will get proposed dividend information or answer that you can enter here. Then balance carried over to balance sheet. Now this is again very important, how this answer we want, because in the balance sheet work, that is schedule number 2, you have to transfer this information, that is balance carried over to balance sheet. That is nothing but here profit and loss account total, that is net profit plus profit and loss brought forward, you will get one total, right? That total minus statutory reserve, then other reserve minus, then again proposed dividend you have to minus, then you will get balance carried over to balance sheet. Now finally you have to verify. Once you get the balance carried over to balance sheet, you have to verify. That means this total and this one should be equal. Obviously it will be equal. Why? Because this is our balancing figure. Balance carried over to balance sheet is our balancing figure. So final total will be equal. Fourth column total and third column total will be that is third part total and fourth part total will be equal. So this is how you are going to see this profit and loss account information. So this is the main format we have to remember while solving the problem. So you can say now under balance sheet 12 and under profit and loss account 4 information. Now one by one we have to see. So now let us see one by one information. So I have to tell you here because lot of information is there and I have not specified here. Why? Because again that is very lengthy in nature and we have to see only from the point of view of our syllabus. So now capital means what? So now let us discuss about schedule number 1. So capital in the sense what? So capital in the sense there are various types of capital they have given you. They will give you. Suppose there is an authorized capital is there. Authorized capital is a maximum amount of the capital that the company can have. That is authorized capital. Then there comes paid up capital. So the paid up capital information also you can see here. Paid up capital. Then comes issued and subscribed capital. Then if there is any calls unpaid, that you have to deduct from this paid up capital. Then if there is any forfeiture of share, that you have to add to this paid up capital. Finally you will get the capital. But if you see the problems, they'll give you share capital directly. So no need to worry. You can write the information directly, that is regarding capital. Then reserves and surplus is there, right? So now reserves and surplus, here various parts are there under reserves and surplus, that is schedule number 2. So if you see the textbook, you will come to know. Here they have mentioned you, one is statutory reserve part. So statutory reserve I have already told you, there is 20% you have to keep for statutory reserve. So opening balance we want, if there is any addition we want, then closing balance we want of statutory reserve. Opening balance plus addition during the year minus deduction during the year, you will get a statutory reserve total. Similarly, if there is any capital reserve, that also you can consider. Again, same procedure. Opening balance plus addition during the year minus this closing balance or deductions during the year. Then comes security premium. If shares are issued at premium, that is nothing but more than the face value. In that case, what happens? Premium amount also you can show under reserves and surplus. So that is again this reserves and surplus contains various parts. One is statutory reserve, one is capital reserve, and one more is security premium. Then one more item you can consider here, revenues and other reserves. So that also you can consider if there is any additional revenues. Again, opening balance, addition during the year and deductions during the year. Finally, you have to enter balance from this profit and loss account. Profit and loss account, we got one balance. See this, that is balance carried over to balance sheet. If you see the P&L, finally we have to get one answer here. Balance carried over to balance sheet. This amount also you have to write under reserves and surplus, and that too separately you have to write. From P&L account, balance carried over to balance sheet separately. Working note, that is schedule number 2. Then deposit. Now deposit, there are again various parts in deposits are there. That is, one is demand deposit. Demand deposit either from banks or from others. Similarly, saving bank deposit, then term deposit. So all these deposits you can enter here. Deposit from branches of India, so again it comes under deposit. Now next, fourth one is borrowing. Now under borrowing, if you see, borrowings from whom, so it is a liability to the bank. That's why we are considering borrowing under liability side. So it is a loan taken by the bank from the other. So it is a loan taken by the bank from other financial institution. So that is why, suppose a bank has taken loan from Reserve Bank of India. So now loan from RBI or borrowings from RBI, other banks borrowing, other financial institution borrowing, all these borrowings you can consider under schedule number 4. Then comes schedule number 5. So now schedule number 5, we have to see now what and all item you can enter here. One is bills payable. Suppose bills payable information is given under schedule number 5 or in the trail balance, you can consider. Similarly, there is some inter-office adjustments. So what do you mean by inter-office adjustment? So that is within the bank or within the branches of the bank. So you know, right, bank has many branches. So they have also some type of transaction. So that also you can consider here. That is other liability, any inter-office adjustment, interest accrued, and other any provisions, if there is any, that you can consider here, other liabilities. Now next thing, under asset, you have to see cash and balance with the Reserve Bank of India. Now again here there are various part. So one is cash in hand. Sometimes they will give you in the trail balance cash in hand information. So this cash in hand information you can consider under schedule number 6. There you can write directly cash in hand. Similarly, balance with the RBI. So that also you can consider. So sometimes bank needs to keep in the current account of RBI certain money, so that amount also you can write here. That is schedule number 6. Then balance with the bank and money at call and short notice. Now we have to understand what is money at call and what is money at short notice. So you can say money at call and money at short notice usually appears when interbank loans are given. Interbank loan means loan from one bank to another bank. So usually in that case money at call and short notice happens. So money at call means immediately when they ask back for the loan amount. So that is known as money at call, immediately within 1 day or 2 days. Money at short notice means usually that is 7 days, 21 days or 14 days. So depending upon the notice period, we can say. So usually it is 14 days, I feel, that is money at short notice. Then comes investment. So investment, now investment is not schedule number 8. So under investment can be made by the banks in shares, in debentures, in bonds, in government securities, in other approved securities, and all other investment in subsidiaries also can be done by the bank. So all these information you can enter under investment. So that is very clear now. Investment is point number 8. Then advances. Now what about advances? So whenever we talk about advances, we have to remember few things. One is regarding bills. There may be various bills are there that need to be discounted by the bank. Similarly, bank needs to perform bills for collection. Suppose any bills are given to the bank, a bank needs to perform the operation as per the instructions given by the other parties. So that is why bank collects collection charges, you can say, for the services given by the bank to the other parties. So now bills purchased you can enter here under advances, and discounted bills, any cash credits, any overdraft information, any loans, that and all you can enter here under advances. That is schedule number 9. Then fixed asset. Next thing comes is fixed asset. If you see fixed asset here, you can consider again all the assets, that is land and building, plant and machinery, that you can consider, and you have to see whether there is any addition made to such asset. Addition during the year, first original cost, addition during the year, deduction during the year, you have to see, then depreciation you have to see, then you can write the amount here under fixed asset. Then comes other asset. So what does this other asset includes? Other asset includes interest accrued is there, tax paid in advances, that comes under other asset. Then stationery and stamps, so that is also other asset. Some non-banking asset you can say. Non-banking asset is also you can consider under other asset. So non-banking asset in the sense, asset for which loan is given by the bank and those assets are not used by the bank. So very important. So here bank can give the loan for any other type of asset. Usually such assets are not required to the bank, and such loans are taken by the other party. So that you can consider under what? Other asset you can say, or else you can say non-banking asset. Banking asset in the sense such asset which is required for the day-to-day operations of the bank. So that is known as banking asset. So non-banking other than banking activities. So that comes under other asset. Then we have to see the contingent liability. Contingent liability. Now we have to understand here, contingent liability in the sense it is not an actual liability. Contingent liability, it is not an actual liability, but it can be an actual liability, depends upon the happening or non-happening, happening or non-happening of a certain uncertain event we can say. So such liability is known as contingent liability. That liability, what happens, you enter here, that is schedule number 12. Then bills for collection, that I have already told you. So that is as per the instruction given by the other party, bank needs to perform the operation bills for collection, that you can show as a footnote to the balance sheet. That is regarding schedule number 12 and bills for collection. Then if you see here, interest earned. Now what and all item comes under interest earned? One is income from investment. Suppose the bank has invested in some of the shares and securities, they'll get income, isn't it? So that is cash comes in, that is the profit to the bank. So interest earned, you can write income on investment. And suppose bank has kept the money with RBI, again RBI will give you certain interest, that also income to the bank, that you can write here interest under interest earned column. Then other income. Other income you can write what? Schedule number 14, that is commission you can write, exchanges you can write commission, exchanges, brokerage, rent. Then very important is profit on revaluation of investments. So sometimes we have to bank will revalue the investments. Then profit, if there is any, that you can consider. But what happens, you have to deduct the losses from the profit, then you have to write the amount. Suppose profit is 25,000 and if there is any losses given in the trail balance, let us say 10,000, there is a loss. Such a loss you have to deduct from the profit. Then remaining amount you have to write here. Then profit on sale of land and building also you can write. Then less if there is any loss on sale of land and building, you have to deduct from the profit. Profit on exchange transaction, that also it can be written. Then income earned by the way of dividend. So dividend earned, miscellaneous income, all comes under other income. That is schedule number 14. Now schedule number 15, interest expended. So interest expended is nothing but interest given by the bank on deposit. Deposit means all forms of deposit accounts, that is saving banks account, then recurring deposit account, FD account. So all these accounts, interest paid by the bank to the customer comes here, interest expended, interest spended by the bank. 15, that is point number 15. Then point number 16 is regarding operating expenses. Now under operating expenses, we have to see what and all information comes. So now payment to the employees. Bank employees, if suppose bank makes any payment, any provision towards employees, rent rates, taxes, that also comes. Printing and stationery, that is operating expenses. Advertising expenses, operating expenses. Publicity, operating expenses. Then depreciation on bank's property, that is operating expenses. Director's fee, operating expenses. Auditor's fee, operating expense. Again law charges is there, operating expense. then postage, operating expense. So there are a lot of information given. So all these things we cannot discuss because this is a lot and lot of informations are there. So that I am telling it to you in brief. So postage expenses is there, telegram expenses, telephone expenses, repair expenses, maintenance expenses, insurance expenses, other expenses. So all these things comes under operating expenses. So we have to identify if there is any expenses information given, whether it belongs to the operating expenses or not. That is schedule number 16. Then provisions for contingency, I have already told you. One is provision for taxation and second one is regarding a provision for bad debt. So this is how you have to see regarding all the schedule 1 to 16. Yes. So now you tell me now, have you understood whatever we have discussed? So we have discussed it in brief. So whatever required from the point of view of syllabus, I have told you the information. If you want advanced information, in-depth information, of course you can refer various books. Yes, tell me now, have you understood? Yes, now question answer session, tell me. And from this chapter, yes, Rajat, from this chapter what happens now, one 6 mark problem will come. 6 mark problem is there from this chapter, then 12 mark problem also it is there, and 24 mark problem is also there. Now 24 mark problem is there, right? That is very very lengthy in nature, 24 mark problem, and it is very difficult to do within 45 minutes. And you can do within 45 minutes when if you know all the adjustment well in advance, and if you have prepared that particular sum and same sum appeared in the examination, then only you can answer such type of question. Because if you see the previous question paper, every time they ask you different question from this chapter. So that is why it is very difficult to solve this 24 mark problem within 45 minutes, and 12 mark problem you can solve provided you have to see how many adjustments are given in the problem. Sometimes they will give you only 1 or 2 line adjustment. So that in that case you can prepare. Why? Because either they will ask you to prepare profit and loss account, or sometimes they may ask you to prepare balance sheet. They won't ask you to prepare both, either P&L or balance sheet. So that you can solve. I feel 12 mark problem definitely you can solve if there is less adjustment is given. And 6 mark problem, that is calculation of rebate on bills discounted, that is very very simple. That we definitely everyone can solve. That we will discuss in the coming classes. So I hope everyone understood whatever discussed till here. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you so much everyone. Yes. Yes, thank you everyone. Yes, Disha, Kushal, Anusha.